It was an extraordinary sign of solidarity echoed by politicians and newspapers across the world on September 12, 2001, cutting through geographical and geopolitical divides. Today, we are all Americans. Our fourth story in the countdown, Senator McCain appropriating even that sentiment for his own political gain, declaring that even as he raised the ghost of the Cold War, quote, today we are all Georgians, especially those of us who get paid to lobby for Georgia. McCain tonight raising the stakes, telling Fox News, quote, there's no room for partisanship now in discussion of the conflict, as he inserted partisanship into discussion of the conflict. As Russia announced its withdrawal from Georgia, and both sides agreed to a ceasefire, though it's unclear if the fighting has actually stopped, Senator McCain launched a new offensive, pointing out to the town hall meeting in York, PA, that Georgia is one of the oldest Christian countries in the world, and that it has an oil pipeline cutting across the country, that he has visited the country several times, and is friends with the Georgian president, Saakashvili, who once nominated him, in fact, for a Nobel Prize, even though he consistently mispronounces his name as Shishkevili. But he neglected to mention that his top foreign policy advisor, Randy Schuneman, who used to lobby for Georgia from 2004 till March of this year, has now joined him on the campaign trail and briefed reporters tonight. Mr. Schuneman remains close to Georgia's president, which might explain why President Saakashvili quoted Senator McCain at a rally this afternoon, and also explain why Senator McCain is now using Cold War rhetoric to describe Russia's intentions.
The impact of Russian actions goes beyond their threat to a democratic Georgia. Russia has used violence against Georgia to send a signal to any country that chooses to associate with the West and aspire to our shared political and economic values. My friends, we learned at great cost the price of allowing aggression against free nations to go unchecked
during the Crimean War. The senator going even further in an interview with public radio station WITF there, claiming, quote, I think it's very clear that Russian ambitions are to restore the old Russian Empire, not the Soviet Union, but the Russian Empire. The Russian Empire, which might include Alaska. Any doubt to the political purpose of such fear-mongering and warmongering laid to rest by Senator McCain's stump bunny, Joe Lieberman, albeit off camera.
We've just seen over the last few days as the Russians invaded a sovereign nation, Georgia, and watched the response of this man, John McCain, to that crisis. Right, strong, clear, principled. The kind of president we need in the White House over the next 4 years to be there to protect our country, our security, and our freedom.
Joining me now, our own Rachel Maddow, host of The Rachel Maddow Show on Air America Radio. Thanks for coming in, Rach.
Hi, Keith.
Incidentally, 4 more years, he said, not 8. There's no room for partisanship now between that asinine remark of McCain's and the pious gibberish of Joe Lieberman there. Could not somebody involved in this have made the effort to look just slightly like they were not trying to exploit what was happening in Georgia for political gain?
Yeah. What a handy little war this has turned out to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Russia provokes Georgia into moving on South Ossetia so that it can, it can have an excuse to roll into Georgia, to quash any democratizing impulses that might emerge from there, and so it can also take out some of the oil competition for its own oil companies, right? And then Georgia feels emboldened to rattle Russia's chain this way because of all the yay democracy, yay Saakashvili rhetoric that's coming from Washington, because Washington needs to mint ourselves a new ally, and because we need to be able to characterize the invasion of Iraq as part of some noble, larger freedom agenda instead of what it was, which was an oil grab. And now we've got John McCain's campaign crowing about what a lucky little bit of political staging this war is. For all the political celebrating, you can hardly make out the thousands of dead civilians here.
2 of the McCain stated reasons for protecting Georgia, Christ and oil. And apart from the fact that it's sounding more and more Goldwaterian here, these are good enough reasons to reignite the Cold War?
Yeah, him and what army? Right?
Yeah,
we're not going to go to war with Russia anytime soon. I mean, obviously, Russia is way out of line, and Russia under Putin is not only a threat to that region, but is a threat to the global order of things, and it's a scary thing. But there's 2 ways to approach that. You either invade Moscow, or you decide to try to unite the world and unite NATO even in opposition to what Russia is doing. You don't do that by taking off your shoe and pounding it on the podium and saying, I'll get you, Russia. My foreign policy guy is a registered your lobbyist for your country, the country that you just invaded. That's not the way that you move things forward in a sane way.
By the way, how is that not a gigantic front-page conflict of interest in the middle of that, what is apparently still a shooting war?
Yeah, Randy Schuneman, top foreign policy aide to John McCain until March, the registered foreign agent of the government of Georgia, one of the two parties involved here. And so McCain coming out, bellicose as all get out, on wading into this conflict, essentially with talking points that were bought and paid for by one of the governments that is party to this conflict. If you want to look like an honest broker, that is not the way to do it. You don't take Randy Schuneman out on the campaign trail with you to show off your lobbyists.
Well, and have him brief the reporters on the plane coming back from Pennsylvania. 100 years in Iraq, we've heard that, or a month. Somewhere in between, perhaps, but 100 or a month with the Bomb, Bomb, Bomb Iran song. Now there's garbage between Russia and Georgia and its exploitation by the McCain campaign. You use the word bellicose. It seems worse than that. It seems more bellicose than what Bush and Cheney put out for 8 years.
It is remarkable that John McCain is staying so true to the caricature in terms of the idea that he goes off half-cocked and he sees war as the answer to everything. I would love to hear John McCain talk about a response to an international crisis that does not involve threatening the use of the U.S. military force. We can't use the military for every problem in America and around the world. But John McCain, that's his first recourse whenever anything arises. I think the military would probably like to hear how he plans to use them in every country around the globe. I think we as the voters should figure that out, too.
Well, I think if you cast your vote for McCain, you're going to have to remember, keep your rocks and your sticks handy by your door because you may be called to service. No guns, of course. Rachel Maddow of Air America and MSNBC. Thank you as always.
Thank you.